Hello friends, a warm welcome from Aussie's group. My name is Malcolm and I'm your PTE coach. It's great to be back on the video with the live session on PTE today. So friends, the purpose of today's video is to share with you what all is going on with PTE and basically if I can be of any help to you through this live session. So please feel free to post any questions you have regarding anything to do with PTE, and I also try to share as much information as I can about PTE. So friends, I'd like to start the first thing by saying that there's been a recent sort of an update, and the update is that these days most of the test takers have been getting their PT scores really fast, and most of the students have been getting or started getting the scores in roughly just 3 hours and maximum up to 6 hours from the completion of the test. So within 3 hours, people are now starting to receive their scorecards, which is a positive upgrade by PT, or it's a positive thing definitely. So now you don't have to wait so much and you will have less anxiety, you'll be less nervous, and you'll get the results very fast. So that's a good thing. And now you can just start posting the questions if you have any questions regarding any of the topics. The main thing I'll be covering today is the listening module. And just statistically speaking as well, many people unfortunately don't clear the listening module. If there is one module where people fail the most, unfortunately, that is listening. Now, listening gets points from many tasks in PTE. Out of the total 20 tasks in PT, there are 3 tasks in the speaking module which give us points in listening. And there are 8 actual listening tasks which obviously give us points in listening. So out of 20 tasks, 3 in speaking plus 8 in listening, so total 11 tasks get us points in listening, and that's why listening is important. And overall, even from listening, you get points in writing, and you also get points in the reading module. So that makes listening even more important from an overall angle, from an overall perspective. Now the thing is that there are 3 tasks in listening which are very heavily integrated with our writing score. And there are 2 tasks in listening which give points in reading score as well. The 3 tasks which get us points in listening are write from dictation, fill in the blanks, and summarize spoken text. So obviously we need to be a bit careful in these 3 tasks because writing score depends heavily on these 3 tasks. And the 2 tasks in listening which give us points in reading are called highlight correct summary, and the second is called highlight incorrect words. So these 2 tasks, the names of which both start with the word H or the letter H or highlight, remember they give you points in reading. So if your target score is 79 each, and if you are struggling with crossing 79 in reading, just be a bit careful with these 2 tasks as well in the listening module, because reading, as I said, will get you points from these 2. So friends, also you can start posting your questions if you have on any topics. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. That's the purpose of this live session. It's called Q&A session with Malcolm. Well, coming to one of the most important tasks in listening, the first task of listening with which listening starts is called summarize spoken text. Now, there will be an audio. You need to take a few notes. The audio will be approximately around 30 seconds minimum. Generally it's a bit longer, maybe around 60 seconds to 90 seconds. Sometimes it's even very lengthy, more than 2 minutes, in which you need to note down the key points, and after the audio ends you need to write a summary of 50 to 70 words. Now remember friends, this is a clear-cut guideline. The minimum word count should be 50 and the maximum should be 70, which means even if you write 1 word less or 1 word more, immediately there will be a penalty. So be careful, that is between 50 and 70 words only. Secondly, we don't need to write a summary with a single sentence. It has to be multiple sentences. 1 sentence means 1 full stop. So generally for 70 words, you'll need to write approximately 3 or 4 or maximum maybe generally around 5 sentences. So remember that point as well. And if you're looking for a higher score, try to fit in more content. The more content which comes in the answer gets you more points in listening. So obviously listening is content based, so always focus on the key content. Now there are 2 main problems generally which people face. First problem is that sometimes the audio can be very fast. Secondly, the audio can have some difficult accents. Sometimes there are very heavy accents like Scottish and Irish, which are difficult to catch. Thirdly, there could be a lot of disturbance in the audio itself, because PTE purposely sometimes has these audios which are like those. And lastly, the name of the test is PTE-Academic. And in very simple terms, the meaning of the word academic is, honestly speaking, a bit boring for most of the test takers. So obviously, if the audio is not of our interest, then we don't feel like taking the notes with our full concentration, but we have to deal with it. Now, first and the main thing is that noting should be done really quickly, because if you're not quick at noting, then it's going to impact the points or the content. There are two main ways of noting. Firstly, sometimes people just note down the words, and then sometimes they struggle in understanding their own handwriting, because you get a pen like a sketch pen and you take notes on laminated sheets of plastic. So just be very neat and clean while you're taking notes. And secondly, people do understand their handwriting, but they're not able to make sentences, because they forget what they have noted. So they can't link the words. So I would suggest the better way of noting is, definitely you can draw and use flow charts. You can use like a table. You can just draw arrows from one point to the next. It generally will help you better in understanding the points in the audio and even understanding what you're writing yourself. So always try to note down in phrases as well. You can ignore articles a and the, don't write, but just note down in chunks. One chunk, second chunk, third chunk, fourth chunk, so on and so forth. Now, many times I've seen that people also use templates in summarized spoken text, and even many of my own students ask me that, sir, should we use templates in summarized spoken text? Now, what is a template? Template basically means a predefined set of words which you can use with any question, any situation. Use a template and you might get away with it. Now, generally I would recommend that please don't use templates. Templates are good, but only maybe for the writing score, because the more templates you use, the less chances of fitting more content. So I would recommend avoid using templates, but still you can use a good structure. You can use words which which link, which are called cohesive tools. So you can start by saying the speaker is talking about blah 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 blah, moreover, comma, blah blah blah, some more data. It is evident from the lecture that, it is apparent from the lecture that, it is suggested from the lecture that. Such words are called academic keywords: evident, apparent, suggested. They can boost your score in vocabulary, which means in writing as well. And to end it, you can just say overall, comma. And so basically, again, it's a cohesive device: overall, lastly, finally. So there is a flow, and written discourse is a parameter in the scorecard which gets points from summarized spoken text as well. So try, if you don't have anything, then try to use a structure like that. The speaker is talking about, moreover, it can also be added that, to conclude, we can say that. So basically, the structure will get you some points in writing as well. All right, now I've got one question from Sukhmeet. Hi Sukhmeet, thanks for joining in. Well, Sukhmeet is asking, I just want to know, what is the way to improve pronunciation, especially for Indians? So thanks Sukhmeet for asking the question. Well, that's a good question, I would say. Now, most of the times, depending on which part of India we come from, generally we take up a sort of an accent depending on the region, from west, east. Like some people from Gujarat can't distinguish the sounds of the words which have sir and sh, like decision, something like that. So it's very common. Even had people from other countries like Nepal, even they sometimes face this issue of sir and sh, unfortunately. Now, the best way to improve pronunciation is, there's a thing called plosives. Plosives is the spelling of the word plosives. I'll repeat it again. Now, plosives is mainly the sound which comes out of the mouth when the word ends. For example, the word stop. So actually, when you say the word stop, coincidentally, even the air stops coming out of the mouth. So the sound should also stop. But the problem is what? Sometimes people just stretch the words, unfortunately. People stress on the words so much, unfortunately, that the word itself becomes distorted, and a native speaker of English would not say that word the same way like an Indian would say it, for example. So I would suggest certain sounds should be spoken in a certain way, should come out in a certain way from the mouth. There are three main plosives, actually there are six. One are called a set of open plosives, second are called a set of closed plosives. The first most important ones are the letters P, T and K. So generally, whenever these sounds come out of the mouth, we should not say just P. The sound should be something like P. Slight air should come out of the mouth, because that's how generally native speakers of English speak. For example, we would not say, we as in a native speaker would not say pollution. He or she would say pollution, population, percentage, not exactly percentage. So just a slight breath of air will help in certain words which start with P. Second, as I said, the sound which is important is the sound T. So with T again, slight air should come out. So it should sound something like T, like technology, telecommunication, transportation, because that's how native speakers of English speak generally. And the third important sound, as I said, is the letter K, or the sound K. So even with K, sometimes a hint of H should come. For example, I went to the club early. It's not exactly club, it's like club. Cricket, carriage. My car is parked in the parking lot. We should not say my car is parked in the parking lot, because then you can easily understand there's a very heavy accent. And the best accent is being accent neutral, means ideally there should not be any accent. That is the best accent for any software to understand as well. So just work on these three sounds mainly, P, T, K, and excuse me, even the sound of the letter R. Now sometimes it's a full R, sometimes it's just a half R. For example, we don't say clear, or we should not say clear, we should say clear. Is it clear? Like that. For example, the word bargaining, it should not be like bargaining. The R should not be heard distinctly. It's something like bargaining, higher, lower. That's how native speakers of English speak. So try to work on mainly how the sounds end, and hopefully you'll get a very high score in pronunciation. That's the first thing. Second important thing for pronunciation is intonation. Now the meaning of intonation, the word itself says intonation, means something to do with the tone. Now sometimes, unfortunately, people speak in a very wavy fashion, which means the voice goes up and down a lot. And I've seen generally female candidates speak like that very often. So sometimes people speak like this: hey, my name is Malcolm. So basically, a lot of modulation in the way. Now, if a speaker in the test speaks like that, na 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 na, the voice keeps on going up and down, up and down, up and down again and again, then definitely it would cause a problem in the pronunciation score. So ideally, I would suggest that try to speak in a slightly flat pitch so that there is less intonation, because generally Indian accents are not suited for intonation, specifically in software-based tests. And that's what I've been telling my students in the last 2 or 3 years, that don't stress too much on words. Try to speak as if you are talking with somebody in a very natural way. The conversation should feel natural. For example, I will not say, if I'm talking to a friend, hi Rock, how are you today? I mean, I might say like that, but generally I would not. So instead of that, just be very natural, as if you're just talking in a very natural way, like, hi Rock, how are you today? The more flatter it is, the better for the score and pronunciation as well. Alright, so I hope I've answered your question, Sukhmeet. Just work on the plosives, the sounds of how the words end. Secondly, don't stress on the words. And thirdly, don't even stretch the words. Don't say like and, just say and. But, not but, just but. So the shorter the pronunciation, the more crispier it is, the better for the score. Alright, Sukhmeet, so thank you very much for asking the question. So friends, if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask me on any topics in PTE. I'll be more than happy to answer them as well. Now, I was discussing about the topic called summarize spoken text. Now, the next important topic, which I think is important to discuss, is definitely fill in the blanks in the listening module. Many times people underestimate the importance of fill in the blanks, but believe me friends, it's a super highway task. And if you want a high task in listening and writing both, then do focus on listening, fill in the blanks. Otherwise, it's difficult to get a high score. Now, listening, fill in the blanks, obviously first you listen, then you type, so you get points in listening and writing both. And since you get points in writing, a very important part of writing obviously is spelling. So if you write the wrong spelling, unfortunately, it's a big problem. So we have to be correct in spelling. There is no alternative to spelling. Like many times people ask, how can we improve our spelling? Because since many years we have been using autocorrect on our platforms, so we are used to it. So unfortunately, the only way of improving spelling is by writing spelling. So the more you practice, the more you get used to it. You can definitely practice from your app, from our app, which is PTE Tutorials. Definitely there are many fill in the blanks given, very high level questions are given. Even for the listening fill in the blanks, few of the words can be difficult at some times, but they are of a very high level. So kindly practice blanks as many as you can. And there are also many other resources, like BBC English is one of the best resources to improve your English. It's an app, and definitely it will help you in getting your desired score. So just search it on your phone. It's called BBC Learning English. Another place where you can actually improve your listening skills is by listening to TED Talks on YouTube. It's a really good avenue. It's a really good platform. Just open any video or audio. They are also available as podcasts on iPhone and also on Google Android platform. So definitely listen to TED Talks as well, because they have got varied topics on a lot of different domains. So kindly visit TED Talks as well on YouTube. And another place is called I think the 1 minute videos, and the name of the channel is, I think, the Scientific American. Even that's a pretty good channel. Also, you can definitely practice from ABC, which is the Australian Broadcasting Company. It's very good. The quality of the language used is very good, and definitely it will help you. And you can also listen to podcasts from the Guardian newspaper. They are also very high level podcasts. Well, there's one more question from Monzurul. Hi Monzurul, thanks for joining in. Sir, could you please give me A to Z priority task? I mean weightage of individual tasks. I'll try my best. Most important tasks are always integrated. Integrated means 2 in 1. So starting from the speaking module, read aloud. The first task itself is high priority. Definitely you read and you speak. So it's going to give you points in reading and speaking both, which means it's a high priority task. The second task in speaking is repeat sentence. Definitely to repeat a sentence, we need to hear the sentence, which means you get points in listening and speaking both. So definitely, again, it's a high priority task. So in speaking, the 2 main tasks are definitely read aloud and repeat sentence. Focus on these 2. Practice these 2 as much as you can if you're looking for 79 plus. Now, when it comes to the writing module, there are 2 tasks. One task is summarize written text, and the second task is write essay. Now, out of these 2 tasks, the first task, which is called summarize written text, is definitely integrated, because to summarize something, we need to read the passage first. So you get points in reading and you get points in writing. So if you want a high score in reading, better be a bit careful with summarize written text. Otherwise, the reading score can plummet, all right, can go down. So please be careful. When it comes to the actual reading module, most important would definitely be all the blanks. And blanks are of 2 types in reading, as you would definitely know, Monzurul. Firstly, we have blanks which are called the reading blanks, which are also called drag and drop blanks. And secondly, we have the drop down blanks, which are popularly called the reading and writing blanks. Now, out of these 2 blanks, I would again repeat, both are extremely important for your reading score. But since the second type of blanks are called reading and writing, I would recommend you to have a look at them before you sit for the test and practice them a bit more before you sit for the test, because your writing score definitely depends on that task heavily. Most of the times it's heavily dependent on drop down blanks, so don't take it lightly. Finally, going to the listening module. Now, when it comes to listening, again, you should target the integrated tasks. First task is summarize spoken text. Definitely you get points in listening and writing both. Whatever gives points in writing should not be taken lightly. So do focus on summarize spoken text. Number 2 in listening is fill in the blanks of listening, because again, listening and then you write, which means writing. You get points in listening and writing both from fill in the blanks. If you're good at blanks, the more blanks you get, the better for your score. Very easily, your score can go up in listening and writing both. After that, the next task is highlight incorrect words. Again, that's an integrated task, because to highlight an incorrect word in a passage, you need to listen and read the passage at the same time. So you get points in listening and reading both. Now this task again has partial negative marking. So please be careful with highlight incorrect words. For every correct word you mark, you get 1 point in listening and reading both. And for every mistake you make, you lose 1 point in listening and reading both. So be careful with highlight incorrect words as well. And lastly, the main task is the last task in listening, which is write from dictation. Write from dictation means you listen and then you write. So it's a very high weight task for listening and writing both. And the PTE guideline says that for every correct word, you get 1 point. So you can imagine one sentence will have generally 7 to 10 or 11 or 12 or 13 words sometimes. You generally get at least 3 questions in write from dictation generally. So you can imagine how many points you'll get in listening and writing both, because the guideline says 1 point per word. So that's the thing. It's one of the main tasks, all right? So read aloud, repeat sentence, all the blanks in reading, then fill in the blanks in listening, highlight incorrect words, and write from dictation. And in the summaries also, be a bit careful, because you get points in reading and listening both. So I hope I have answered your question from A to Z, the priorities. All right, thank you, Monzurul, for asking the question. Thank you. Well, Sukhmeet has another question. She's asking, can you please suggest some software or app to improve pronunciation? Well, Sukhmeet, there are many apps actually, but honestly speaking, I don't use apps. I mean, even when my students practice from our portal on ptetutorials.com, I check it manually myself. I don't rely on apps, unfortunately. But if you want to improve your pronunciation, rather than using an app, I would recommend you to use or go to forums where people actually talk in English. There are many free chat forums available online as well, where you can actually go and talk to people. You can actually also talk to native speakers of English, because until and unless you talk with native speakers of English, it's a bit difficult to improve the pronunciation. So that is one thing. And secondly, there are apps called Voice Pitch Analyzer, which are available online as well on Google and iTunes both. I mean, on Android and iTunes both. But again, as I said, I would not comment on the efficacy of these softwares. I mean, how efficient these softwares are actually in improving the pronunciation. They can give you an indication, but very difficult to say that this is good, this is bad. Then obviously we have websites like dictation.io, then speechnotes.io. These are a few of the websites, including, again, I'll repeat, dictation.io, and speech notes is another one. You can just Google it. So that's the the Google platform as well. So even that you can try. And there you sometimes do get an option to select your language as well. So you can, before you start using that website extension or the app, it will ask you which is your native language. So you can just select your language, like Punjabi, Hindi, where you're from, Gujarati. You can just select your language and then you can start practicing. But again, as I said, I would not comment on how accurate these softwares are, because until somebody who is an actual tutor of PTE, I think that would be the best person to give you a feedback on how your speaking is. Because sometimes even these apps give a score of 90. I mean, 90 as in to say a full score. Maybe they translate all your words, but in the actual exam you might not get your required score sometimes if you just rely on an app, so as to say. So just get an advice from a native speaker of English or from a tutor of PTE. I think they would be the best people to guide you for pronunciation improvement in case you're looking for any. And definitely you can use our Telegram group, which is called PTE Tutorials. Go to Telegram, it's an app, download it and join the group PTE Tutorials. Over there we have so many mentors who have got 90 in PTE. Obviously I'm also there on the group, so I also do give the feedback. So you can just post your recording over there and somebody will definitely give an answer to your question. You will get the feedback for sure. All right. So thank you very much for asking the question, Sukhmeet. Well, Monzurul is asking, how do I practice fill in the blanks, drag and drop? I face difficulties. Well, to practice drag and drop blanks, how to practice? So obviously the passages are generally short. So what you can do, before you start actually solving the blank, you can quickly skim through the passage, try to understand always the meaning, the logic of the passage. Many times I've seen people, telling that my vocabulary is not that great, my grammar is so-so, so I generally find it really difficult to get a high score in reading. Well, agreed that reading blanks mainly focus on vocabulary, but it's not everything generally, because if you understand the context of the passage, you will get hints from the passage, and try to follow your instincts. Generally, if a word doesn't sound right, it will not be right. If you feel that a word is ill placed, or it doesn't fit the actual blank, even if you get 1% of that feeling, I would say just remove that word. It is not the right answer. Second problem I've seen is that many times people overanalyze the blanks. They overanalyze what will be the blank. They put the right answer, and then just at the last moment they change it with another option from the given options. So when they check it, they again realize, oh, had I kept that blank, it would have fetched me 1 point. So again, the problem is overanalyzing. Don't overanalyze. But yeah, definitely a knowledge of vocabulary, a sound knowledge of grammar, and definitely a knowledge of collocations, which is a part of vocabulary, is important if you're looking for a high score above 79 in reading. Now, as I said, a knowledge of collocations is very helpful. Collocations means words which are collocated. So there are two types of collocations in English. First are called academic collocations. Second are called grammar-based collocations. If you're generally good with collocations, you will find it a cakewalk to have a very high score in reading in PTE. Believe me, PTE is one of the easiest exams in English, I would say rather. And it's pretty easy to get a high score, provided you know what you have to do, provided you focus in the right areas. You hit the target at the bullseye, and then it's pretty easy to get 90 in reading as well. All right. And yes, definitely practice from PTE Tutorials. There are many questions of a very high quality. If you want to practice really difficult questions, I would recommend just practice 5 or 6 reading tests from PTE-Tutorials.com, the website. The level is really good, and sometimes it's even higher than the actual test. So generally I recommend to my students as well that if you get a high score when you solve from PTE-Tutorials.com, the website, guaranteed you will cross 79 in the actual test. The level of reading is excellent in PTE-Tutorials.com. Hope I've answered your question. All right, thank you very much. Well, Nafas has one more question. Hi Nafas, thanks for joining the chat. Hope you're having a good time. Well, Nafas is asking, sir, I practiced most of PTE Gold, D2L and PTE Tutorials app. Still, I'm not very confident about repeat sentence. I scored 71 in listening, 77, 78 and 79 for speaking, reading and writing respectively. I'm trying now TED Talk and Scientific American to practice repeat sentence. Is there any other option to practice repeat sentence? Other option as in other source, you mean to say, right? Well, Nafas, thank you for being honest enough. At least you're admitting and you know where you're making the mistakes, which is a positive thing. You should always know where you're going wrong. Now, see, actually the sources you have quoted like PTE Gold, D2L and PTE Tutorials app, I think if you combine all the sentences in these 3 sources alone, they're going to be in thousands, right? Even you know that there are thousands of sentences. I think rather than the quantum, means the amount you are practicing, I think you need to maybe change the way you are practicing. The approach maybe you need to change. Always try to understand the phrases in the sentence, the chunks in the sentence. I don't know what exactly you do in repeat sentence, like many people note down the initials as well, but even that can be a bit risky in the actual exam. So I think a better approach is understand the phrases in the sentence and do it phrase by phrase. Generally, any sentence in the actual exam has approximately 3 to 4 phrases, and whenever the phrase switches, there will be a change in the tone of the speaker. It goes up or it goes down generally. Like, it's a beautiful day today. So try to remember it in the same way as it is spoken. It's a beautiful day today. Instead of, it's a beautiful day today. That's not the right, reproduction of the sentence. You have to understand it in the same way it is spoken. And You can also try to, note down few words from the end, maybe a few words from the beginning. You'll have to try mix and match different techniques, because there is no one suit fits all in repeat sentence. Different people use different techniques in repeat sentence. But as I said, try to practice at least, around 40 to 50 to 60 questions of repeat sentence in one sitting, and try to be a bit quick when you are speaking, because like even in the actual exam, in 1 minute you will come across at least 3 questions of repeat sentence. So for 60 questions, maybe you can take around 20 minutes maximum, maybe 30 minutes, and also record your entire session of practice of repeat sentence. That will be very helpful, definitely. And then listen to your recording, what mistakes you're making. Believe me, if you are a bit analytical, which you should be, and I'm sure you are, you will pick up your mistakes. You'll pick up a pattern of mistakes which you're doing. So, just mix the type of sentences you're practicing. Long sentences, short sentences, medium sentences, and you'll understand which type of words you're missing. Sometimes people miss the small words a and the. And I think most of the times it's a lot of pressure as well, and there's a lot of disturbance at the test center. So while you're practicing repeat sentences, keep some background music on, keep something on in the background so that you get used to it, because even in the actual exam it's going to be noisy, it's not going to be easy. So better prepare for the worst and pray for the best. So you'll be in between, at least you will manage to find a way out. All right. So thank you, Nafas. Hope I've helped your question. Well, Dipendra Chaudhary has one more question. Actually, he has just written a sentence. He has written, not only are there some good career in engineering, comma, but there's a lot of money going into research side, comma, too. So Dipendra, I do see your sentence, but what is the question? If you could just pose the question, I can answer that as well. If you could just pose the actual question, I'll also refresh my page so that I can see the question if you have posted it already. Just give me a minute, or a few seconds at least. Okay, I just see that question. I mean, that's just a sentence. I don't see the actual question. So, I think it's a sentence type you're trying to ask, like simple sentence, compound sentence, or complex sentence. I'm not able to understand the question, Dipendra. So I don't understand. If you could just elaborate on the question. Well, Charmi has a question. Hi, Charmi. Hope you're doing fine. Hope you're doing well. Well, how to manage time in the listening section? Students are struggling to complete listening section in PTE. Valid question. Now, if PT makes the test lengthy, then obviously test takers will struggle with listening. And well, how to manage the time? Easiest way to manage the time is focus on the main tasks. Don't waste time on the low weight questions. So basically, low weight means questions which give us less points, definitely, like multiple choice, single answer, maybe multiple choice, multiple answers, select missing word. So what you can suggest to your students, or we can suggest to anyone, is that as soon as the audio ends, just be a bit quick. Don't waste a lot of time thinking what is the answer. Even if you don't know the answer, just let it go. Because obviously it's a race against time, and we have to win the race, because the main task is right from dictation, which is the last task, as you very well know. So don't waste time in the non-important questions. I think that's the best solution to manage the time. As soon as the timer ends, or as soon as the audio ends, in the next 10 seconds or 15 seconds, just do next. That's it. If you get it right, good for you. Even if you don't get it right, let it go. It's not worth the pain and not worth the time. So I think that's the best solution to manage the time as well. All right. So hope that helps to you, Charmi, and hope you're doing well. Well, friends, if you have any other questions, please post them. I'll be more than happy to answer them as well. And thank you, Charmi. And one more thing that is right from dictation is super important, super high weight. So practice as much as you can right from dictation. Like many people tell me that sometimes they get very lengthy sentences and the sentence comes suddenly as well. I mean, the audio starts all of a sudden and there's a lot of disturbance as well. So it can be disturbing in the test as well, but we need to be prepared. If the target is 90 and the target should be 90, we should be prepared for any eventuality. So definitely expect the worst, as I said, and prepare for the worst as well. Hopefully things will work out in our favor as well. All right, friends. And Charmi has asked, what do you suggest for WOD? I think you're trying to ask what do you suggest for WFD, I think. Write from dictation. I think that's your question you're meaning to ask. For write from dictation, I would say that practice as much as you can. Practice is the only solution. And try to understand the phrases. It's the same logic which works for repeat sentence. It's the same logic which works for write from dictation as well. You understand the sentence in phrases, because every phrase and the turn of every phrase, the tone of the speaker will change. It will go up or it will go down. Understand and retain how the sentence is spoken rather than what is spoken. And keep on saying the sentence in your mind till you put the full stop in the end. Just keep on repeating it in the same way. Hopefully, it's going to help a lot. And even right from dictation, we should practice at least like 50 questions, 30 to 50, at least 50, I would say, in one sitting. If you are, used to it, then you can maybe skip practicing, but otherwise the only solution is practice. And even from PTE Tutorials app, there are excellent resources. It's an excellent repository of questions. So do practice from PTE Tutorials. You get a lot of questions. Sometimes these questions can also come in the real exam. You never know. So do practice from there as well. Well, Dr. Amanpreet Sood has a question as well. I recently joined PTE Tutorials. Well, thank you, Dr. Amanpreet, for joining. You're really helpful. Do we need to speak in the same way throughout the speaking section? Read aloud is different as content is just right there, but my way of speaking changes during describe image and retell lecture. Please suggest. Thanks for asking the question. Well, Aman, honest answer is no, you don't need to speak the same way throughout speaking. In read aloud, the main thing is clarity and fluency. The flow should be there. A constant flow of words should be there, just the way native speakers speak in phrases. And the second main thing is clarity, because read aloud is an integrated task of speaking and reading both. So if you're very fast, you will not be clear. If you're not clear, pronunciation score goes down. If pronunciation goes down, speaking goes down as well, and reading score goes down as well. So don't be very fast in read aloud. Now in describe image and retell lecture, because we have to speak on our own, there is no passage on the screen, it's natural that the speed can vary. It's okay if the speed varies, still you can get a 90 until and unless the fluency is intact. There are no abrupt pauses, there is no hesitation. But if there are pauses like, in describe image, then again, it's a problem. So as far as the question is concerned, I hope I've answered it, that it's not necessary that you speak at the same speed, but the main thing is clarity and fluency. You just speak in a natural way, not too fast, not too slow. Don't stress too much on words. Don't stretch the words too much, and you'll be good to go as well. All right. So hope I've answered your question as well. So friends, with that, I think I'll end today's session. It's been, I think, a fairly productive session. I tried to cover the main tasks in listening, and I thought that listening is something that deserves attention, because it's not that people don't take it seriously. People do care about their scores, obviously, but sometimes people are not used to listening, because people, maybe, for example, if somebody is in India, and if somebody is not working in an English speaking environment, then obviously they won't be conversing in English. So just get used to, watching TV, watching shows, listening to things in English, reading things in English, and definitely the level of English will improve drastically. But the main thing is the aim, and the aim should be really high. If your target is 90, you will find a way to reach that target, 100%. And that's why I always say the only target in PT is 90, 90, 90, and 90. Well, Jyoti Saini has just joined, and Jyoti is asking how to improve the listening skill. So thank you for asking, Jyoti. The whole session more or less was on listening, but I'll again repeat for your sake. To improve listening, listen as much as you can, and just joking, but listen as much as you can from good sources. Like I already said, there's the one thing called TED Talks on YouTube. You can just YouTube TED Talks, and the other thing you can do is you can just search BBC Learning English. That's an app on English. It's excellent to improve speaking, reading, listening all in one. So you can just install that on your phone as well. And thirdly, if you want to improve listening, do practice a lot of questions of listening from good sources, reliable sources, authentic sources, And one of the best sources is PTE Tutorials, the website which we have. Even the app which we have, it's a free app, PTE Tutorials. You can definitely download it on your phone as well, and it's going to be very engaging. And lastly, for all of those who are still watching the video, you can definitely go to a Telegram channel which is called PTE Tutorials. It's a free channel. Almost more than 6,000 people are on the group. Just imagine 6,000 people all have one aim to clear PTE. So definitely it's an excellent platform where you can share your questions, you can share your doubts as well, and people will be more than happy to clarify your questions as well, to give you honest suggestions, to give you honest feedback and answers as well. All right, so thank you very much, all of you. I hope you get your required score. I hope you get your desired score. And if you have tests coming up soon, I would just say all the best. Till then, I'll see you next week. Until then, all the best. My name is Malcolm. Have a good weekend, all of you. Thank you very much.